And now a quick word from our sponsors here at Viral Hip Hop News. Man here from Viral Hip Hop News, letting my people know to go grab this bottle of miracle food right now. Shockerdoctor.org put together some of the best ingredients on God's green earth to help your immune system, give you a cleanse and reboot that your body deserves. Don't wait for your miracle. Grab it in Miracle Food right now. Let's go. Go purchase the original crime drama series by Daniel Webb, The House of Lazenby, The House of Lazenby 1978, and The House of Lazenby, A Time to Heal at Archway Publishing or wherever books are sold right now.
Are doing very, very well because of A, the rivalry, and B, I think because they're great attorneys. And they also don't hire riffraff. You know, it is not easy, quote unquote, to get hired by legal aid as an attorney in New York.
That's I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I want to transition, into the hip hop and Hollywood realm, if we can. In particular, right now, R. Kelly, who's currently going through his case. Now, we've been going back and forth with this R. Kelly situation since we probably started this podcast, over 4 years ago. And now that we're sitting here and now that evidence is being presented in front of us and everyone has their predisposed kind of conception of whether he did it or not, in your professional opinion, based off of what you're seeing right now, in your estimation, how do you feel as though the case is going so far? And where do you envision the case going once it is to verdict and we see what happened?
Well, based upon what I saw of the case from the very beginning, I mean, I did a breakdown on my channel where we looked at the initial indictments. And I remember saying, just looking at the indictment, that these cases were pretty solid. I mean, they are 40 plus counts. You know, there are 40 plus counts in these indictments, and these indictments are detailed. They have it broken down by each female, which they identify as Jane Does. They had all of the accomplices for the criminal enterprise noted there. They had already prosecuted 2 of the accomplices and garnered a plea from them. So we knew that those people would be cooperating with this trial. So at the outset, I already looked at this trial and thought, you know, R. Kelly is going to have to really, really get his defense team together because this is a solid case. And now as the trial has started, I think that's what's playing out. We heard from, or we're still hearing from Demetrius Smith. I think he's still testifying. And we also heard from another former employee of R. Kelly, and they have already established what the government needs as far as criminal enterprise and as far as cooperation. And they have started to kind of lay out the fact that R. Kelly would allegedly give them directions that they would then just follow out, that he would direct girls to be taken to certain places allegedly, and that girls were being transported interstate, which another thing that we discuss on my channel is the difference between state prosecution and federal prosecution. So when someone is committing crimes that are happening interstate, meaning from one state to another, from another state to another, that's how you end up in a federal prosecution. So they've also established that because they have a witness testifying to R. Kelly directing him to allegedly drive girls all over the country. They also have had R. Kelly's doctor testify because they have some charges there about knowingly exposing some of the young ladies allegedly to herpes. They've already had R. Kelly's doctor testifying and say, yes, R. Kelly does have herpes. And I treated not only him, but I also provided medicine for some of the females listed in the indictment. So it's a pretty solid case. And I think that unless R. Kelly decides to enter some type of plea or make some type of deal with all of those counts, I think we will see at least a conviction on some of the counts, maybe not all. But I think it'd be very rare for us to see a full acquittal here.
Is there a loophole in the HIPAA law that kind of helps them kind of grab that sort of information? How does that work? I'm sorry, I'm kind of ignorant to that.
So, as you know, I'm sure you're familiar with HIPAA just from, going to the doctor and the fact that you have a certain level of privacy. It's something that a lot of people don't know. All of our personal privacies is a certain level. So it's not 100% and it's not guaranteed. Right. And whenever you have public welfare or general welfare involved, the government can step in and say, hey, listen, I'm going to have to revoke this privacy. This privacy that you usually have, I have to revoke it because my card of general welfare and public welfare trumps your personal privacy. So what probably happened in this case is that R. Kelly's attorneys tried to argue that HIPAA protects his doctor and all his records, right? And then the government, they would then file a motion with the court that says, hey, no, actually, Your Honor, this is relevant to our prosecution. And so we should have the right to talk about this and to see these records. Then the judge would review both arguments and say, you know what, actually, this is a criminal prosecution. It is in the general welfare of our district to have this testimony be heard and to see these records.
Thank you.
Now, how much time is R. Kelly facing? I know there's different counts, but how much time is he facing altogether if convicted?
When we did our little count on the New York indictment alone, we got 25 plus years. And I mean, he also has a federal indictment in Illinois.
Does that come afterwards? Whatever happens with this, he still has to do that one, or how does that work?
Right. I believe that he has not faced trial in Illinois as of yet. Okay. So it would be this New York trial, and then he would face whatever is going on in Illinois.
Talk about the racial aspect of it, because obviously in our community, you have one side saying that, you know, he's being wrong because he's a black man and we see how that works. And then you have another side saying, no, he did this. He needs to go to jail. Can you talk about that dynamic and how that plays a part in particular, like with in your position, sitting as a black woman in a prosecution's chair, does that kind of play, I don't want to say play a role in compromising, but at the same time, is it in your head while you look at cases like this?
Yeah, it definitely is something that I have a different understanding of, you know, and so I hear what people are saying when they say, well, this person of a different color does similar things, and that person of a different color does similar things, you know, because it was the same argument when Bill Cosby was prosecuted.
Yep.
And we don't see these people of other colors being treated the same way as, you know, black men when they do these things. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that argument, but here is what I step in with just from a straight up logic perspective. Mm-hmm. Why do we want to compare ourselves, and by ourselves, I mean any black person, right? Mm-hmm. Why would you want to compare yourself to bad behavior? Your argument is, well, I want to be able to do things I shouldn't be doing and get away with it like everyone else. Huh? That logic is not the conversation we should be having. I think the conversation we should be having is, why isn't our community clamping down on the bad behavior? Because when you hear these conversations, you never hear that these men are innocent, right? You never hear people saying, I don't think R. Kelly did it. I don't think Bill Cosby did it. But instead, you hear that they should be permitted to do it because there were men of other colors doing it. That is a flawed argument to me. It doesn't make logical sense, and it doesn't make moral sense.
Right now.
Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip bars is back. Hip hop, Sam and oh God, what's up with you? I done watched them niggas do interview after interview. They not culture vultures, the culture something they been into. So if you never gave them a view, I recommend you do. Cause when they question guests, they message is not subliminal. It don't matter if you a rookie.